Everybody, back to 5 here, bringing you a video. Just wanted to talk to you guys about a topic I was thinking about. Just recently I bought a Gex 2 Into the Gecko, as you can see here in the video. Bought it from the flash sale they had this past weekend on the PlayStation Store. Thank you, Base PlayStation. So I was able to get it for 99 cents, and I hadn't played this game in a long time, like since the freaking demo back in 1990 something. I haven't never played the full game. And I got it and I was playing it. And made me remember all of the fun times I had with the PlayStation 1 and 2 and all that stuff. And then, it got me really thinking about one of my favorite things, one of my favorite things to think about. You know what that is? Nostalgia. I love nostalgia. And, like, just playing Gex Into the Gecko on my PS3, it just made me think about all these nostalgic moments of, like, and how I really miss, games and everything from those eras and stuff. So I just gave me an idea for a video topic I wanted to talk to you guys about, which is what I consider to be my personal favorite era of gaming. And for me, that would be the PS2, GameCube, and the original Xbox era of gaming. I can't remember what number console generation that is. Yeah, I'll have to look it up again. I can't remember what console generation it is, but I was just thinking about it. I really do like a lot of the things about the gaming as a whole back in those days. Like gaming now, it's still fun. It's still great. It's improving with the types and games we're getting, the quality, the hardware we have to make everything even more better, and add more content and all that stuff to the game. So gaming nowadays is still pretty great. And, it's still a great time to be a gamer. It's just I seem to have even more fond memories about gaming in the PS2 era and just everything as a whole. So I'll break it down for you real quick. First off is the games in general. Like games we get nowadays are great. I mean, look at The Last of Us, for example. That game is just fantastic. You have other games. You have other games like the Infamous games, like Infamous Second Son just came out, Knack, all that. The games we have nowadays are great and all that. It's just this the thing I miss about the video games themselves back in the PS2 era is just it seems like there was a lot more variety in games back then. It's like we have quite a bit of variety with games now. Indie games are on the rise and all that, but it's just mainly shooters. Like that's all anyone ever wants to play anymore. It's just freaking military first-person shooters or just a shooter of any kind. Like I don't mind shooters; they're fun, yeah. But I'm so tired of them. Like I've been done with Call of Duty since the original Black Ops because that was my favorite one because it made me angry the least. So I just thought it'd be good to stop there. And it's just that seems like that's the only thing that sells anymore. That's the only thing that people are interested in is like military first-person shooters and all these gritty, realistic, super freaking serious style and looking of games. Like I don't mind those games every now and then. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a serious, gritty game every once in a while. But that's just what I miss the most about gaming back in the PS2 era and the PS1 eras. Is there's more variety in the types of games that came out, and it seems like they were worth they weren't always super serious and stuff. They had like the cartoony look and feel and all that stuff. Like look at Gex. That's a game that came out of the PS1, but games like Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, and the Jack and Daxter series are games that fit the perfect example of cartoony, weird, crazy, funny games. I like those types of games more than anything, really. Like I said, gritty, realistic games every now and then are pretty fun too. But my favorite style of game is just, the just the type of games, like I mentioned, Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank and other cartoony fantasy like games. Because honestly, when I think about at least me personally, when I think about games, those are the types of games that come to my mind first. So just those types of games I just described. Because those are the types of games I grew up with. I just find a whole lot more fun with games like that. I mean, you get to go to like a fantasy world that you can never ever possibly see or hear about in real life. Just meet all these crazy characters with all these crazy characteristics and personalities that just wouldn't, be physically possible in the real world or a more real life situation. Another thing that I meant about the variety of games is like just game genres as a whole, there was a lot more variety of. I mean, yeah, there was. I can't. I think RPGs was really big back in those days. Yeah, the PS2 era. Yeah, RPGs and platformers were really big back in those days. And there was a lot of them, but there wasn't an oversaturation of them like there was with shooters. Like I said, military FPS shooters, Call of Duty. It's the same old rehashed thing. Just everyone wants the same exact thing. They don't want variety as much as they used to anymore. I mean, and like I said with RPGs, there was a lot more style in RPGs and all that stuff. I mean, other than Skyrim, I can't think off the top of my head right now, but other than Skyrim, what other RPG has recently released that's really good? Has and broke up some of the variety the games we have now. And something else that I missed in the gaming era in those times is just it's more of a personal thing, but I miss a lot like the way gaming commercials were back then. Like I don't know, just something about the gaming commercials back then. How to mix real life live action in it and then the game itself. They were just like really weird and crazy type of commercials. Like they still make those commercials kind of nowadays, but it just isn't as often. Pretty much every commercial for a game has some sort of like crazy, funny live action part to it with the gameplay, and just look up old gaming commercials from like the early 2000s or the 90s or whatever, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But that's just something I thought about adding just now. And another thing that I miss this more than like the games themselves back in those eras was the gaming community. It's like back then the gaming community, like I swear, this generation of gamers were some of the biggest idiots I've ever seen in my entire life. The freaking console wars, all that garbage has just gone way out of proportion. Niggas is over here going full retard over some plastic. I don't get it. I mean, yeah, back then in those days, I'm pretty sure EA had a console. Well, I really don't even remember anything uh, about console wars or anything back in those days. I mean, yeah, there's people that had their preferences and stuff, but it's like back in those days, you could talk about your favorite console, or whatever, and you just have like a normal civilized discussion on gaming forums and websites about what your favorite or what console you're playing on and what games you like and all that stuff. You could have like a normal civilized conversation and just talk games like. But nowadays, you say you like something about one console or another, you're automatically a fanboy of that whole entire company just because you prefer their product that much more than someone else, than the other company, or you're like some sort of like evil, horrible person or a retard or something just because you play one console more than the other. Like, I don't ever remember gaming was never like the people that played games anyway. The gaming community was never that bad back then. It's like over the years, the gaming community has just gotten worse and worse and worse with this shit. Like the whole console war thing, like I said, is going way out of proportion to the point where it's not. I don't even bother reading. It's about to get to the point where I don't even bother reading comments in gaming news article sections anymore because it just breaks out into a flame war at some point. It's not even worth it. It's like you can't talk about what kind of game you like or what kind of platform you mostly prefer to play on, and without having some sort of rabid fanboy come out of nowhere and just there wasn't as many fanboys and it wasn't as bad back then either. Not that I can remember. I mean, I'm pretty sure you had your fair share of fanboys, but they weren't acting a dang fool out here in the freaking internet world. They mostly just stayed shut up, just playing whatever console they wanted to play on, and just enjoyed it. Like that's the thing I miss the most about the PS2, GameCube, and original Xbox era. Is just the gaming community as a whole was a lot better back then. It's just not as stupid as it is now. It just like it gets to the point sometimes I just about to wish. It's just about to get to the point sometimes where like I don't even want to associate myself as a gamer sometimes. Like these people be going crazy and shit. Like I mean, you got like the freaking developers of different places getting death threats and stuff. People hating on the game just because, like, these people that hate on indie games and all that stuff for like no reason. Just hate on anything just because they don't like it and they think everyone else has to hate on it too just because they don't like it. It's like I don't ever remember. It was never that bad back in the day. It's like, and another thing, people don't seems like people don't play games to have fun all that much anymore. It's like, sometimes they play games, just to see if they're better than everyone else or whatever. And it seems like the whole funness. I don't even know if that's a word. It probably isn't, but I don't care. But like the funness of gaming just doesn't seem to be as much as it used to back then. Like back in like the PS2 era, the PS1 era, and then 64. It seemed like gaming was just nothing but fun. Just you went home, you played you some Tekken, some Super Mario 64 or something like that. And you just had fun, man. Like that's what gaming is to me first and foremost. It'll always be about fun over everything else. And it didn't get these people that were whining about the freaking graphics. Like even the transition from the PS2 original Xbox era to the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. I don't ever remember people whining this hard about graphics, and then got people completely writing off a version of a game just because the graphics on it aren't as high as the other version. Like what? And then you have them hate on everyone else that plays the version of the game that doesn't have the best graphics. Like they're less of a person because of the version of the game they play. I had no idea because I play a different video game. Yeah, I'm much less of a human being. I had no fucking idea. But yeah, basically that's just my thoughts. I miss the PS2, original Xbox and GameCube era of gaming. Just the memories and the more variety in games and the more colorful, cartoony games back then. Like I enjoyed those types of games the most more than any other types of games. Just the colorful, cartoony games. There was a lot more variety in platformers back then too. I like platformers a lot. And just think of all the platforming mascots that came out back in those days. Like, even if they weren't as popular, like Blinks the Time Super for the original Xbox. Just look back and think of all the freaking platforms that came out back then around that era. Psychonauts is a really popular, well, kind of a cult popular one that people are thirsty for a sequel for. Um, what else came out? Oh yeah, Doctor Muto or whatever. I never played that game. It's just a game that came off the top of my head. Voodoo Vance, all sorts of different little strange platforming type games. It's like that's another thing. Developers, they wanted to take risks. They were a little bit more free to take risks back then and all that, and make this crazy types of games. It's like developers don't really want to take that risk anymore. They find one formula and just stick with it and milk the hell out of the game with it. And there wasn't as many milk franchises back then either. Like yeah, the game has some pretty good sequels and spin-offs to it, but they're always trying to change at least something about it to make it seem worth a whole another full price purchase, and they were just milk the whole thing, just copy and paste and recycle, and only added a couple new things. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've rambled on for long enough, but that's just pretty much my thoughts on what my favorite gaming era is: the PS2, GameCube, and original Xbox era. Just the games themselves, the variety, the style, the types of gameplay, and the developers just seemed like everything was a lot better back then, and especially the gaming community. That's what I missed the most about those eras. The gaming community wasn't cool. It was a bunch of fanboys and idiots back then either. But go ahead and post in the comments what your guys' favorite era of gaming is. Whether it be the Nintendo 64, PS1 era, or the Sega Genesis era, or the NES, whatever era of gaming you remember the most, and you have the most fond memories, and you honestly wish gaming was like back then. Just go ahead and leave that in the comments. But I'm Stanley 35, and I'm out. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.